up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of non-stop MLB DFS conversation starts right now. Takes you all the way up to first pitch. Myself, Head Chopper, Will, the Chief. We're here with you for the next hour and 15 minutes. We hand it off to Crunch Time. Crunch Time comes in. You get Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, Taylor Smith, Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. I could use Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth where I'm at right now here in South Florida. It's not stopped raining, getting all sorts of alerts as far as flooding, but hopefully you guys cannot hear it. The Florida Panthers are still stuck down here. They're supposed to play tomorrow night in Edmonton. Hopefully they can get out of here soon enough. There's a little, if you like to bet those sort of things, they've been, I don't know, they've been on the tarmac the whole time, but the Panthers are trying to get to Edmonton, which is like 2,500 miles away. All right, I wanted to shout at the Panthers, I suppose, but I was reading that they're stuck in the tarmac, and there you go. All right, we're bringing in Will. Will, how are things in your world? Happy Wednesday.
Everything's good, man. Glad to come on, talk a little MLB. Interesting little slate. And I'm just busy right now, man. Listen, I love it. Coaching basketball. We've got summer ball going on right now, so we've got games for the summer and practices, and it'll just be this month. But man, has it? I don't want to say screwed up, Dean, because screwed up makes it sound like I don't love it. It's taken away the early part of my day. So we've been having practice from 12 to 2. Yesterday we had a game at 9 in the morning, a game at 2 in the afternoon, another game at 4. And so summer basketball is
what?
Yeah.
Is that like a jamboree? Like everybody plays like 3 or 4 games or something like that? Is that what they call that?
Yeah, but it's 3 full games though. It's not this isn't like a half game that looks like a full game. It's full games.
They're full games.
Yeah, it's full games. And so I'm having a ton of fun. I was telling my wife, this might be the best team I've coached since the first team I ever coached. This team, we got early buy-in from these girls, and they're going to be a handful. So I'm super excited to see where they end up, later on in their careers as they go into varsity. I'm coaching JV, by the way. And but this team reminds me of the first
like
team
12, 13 years old?
Yeah. But this team reminds me of the first team I coached. And when that team went to varsity, they pretty much went to a state championship. They didn't win it, but they went. And so I'm trying to see. Cool. I don't know. It's like as you coach over the years, you start seeing things. And this team is giving me championship vibes later on. So this is going to be fun.
How are the parents? Are they okay? Like, are they paid? Are they tolerable?
No, all these
They're
parents
fun?
are all these parents are good. So half this team, I coached them on B team when they were in 5th and 6th grade. And so I know most of their parents. And then the other half I did not coach. But all the parents seem to be good. And that's the main thing. I mean, but parents know when the coach is good and when the coach is not good, Dean. Trust me. They know.
Yeah, but they don't know when their son or daughter, in this case, is not the best player in the team. They all think their daughter is the best player.
Well, they do when they play for me, because I'm an honest coach. I'm an honest coach.
Chop, welcome. Speaking of kids, your kids are home, right? Summer school, and not summer school, but the school's out, I believe. Is that correct? And how are things in the Chop household?
School's out, Dean. School is out for the summer. Yeah. It is what it is. It's lazy summer, Everybody wants to stay around and look at their phones and play their games. But Dean, I would, in reference to the previous topic here with Will, I would say that the great Hall of Fame, eventual Hall of Fame coach Kelvin Sampson, he says, when you get to that level of playing as a coach, he's not recruiting the players anymore. He's recruiting the parents, because the parents is going to tell him all he needs to know about the player. So that's what you need to figure. That's what you need to know, Dean.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, he was Oklahoma. Is that right? He bounced around, right? Sampson. I remember. I don't know if he's still coaching or not.
He was at Oklahoma. Yeah. And he went to Indiana. Had a few problems. They ran him out, and he went to the Rockets for a couple years, and then went back, and now he's at Houston again, college coach. So. Yeah, he's doing it.
Is he in the Hall of Fame, or you're putting him in the Hall of Fame?
No, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame as soon as he retires. He's not retired yet, Dean.
Okay, I don't know what the ruling is. That you have to
But,
they always come back anyway. There's probably Hall of Fame coaches coaching.
He says, pretty much when you get the kids, and they're kind of a reflection a lot of times of the parents. And when you get a parent in your ear, man, my kid needs more playing time, more this. That's not the kind of parent he wants to recruit. So that's not the kid he wants to recruit. So he cuts him loose, Dean. It's pretty fascinating. You should read his book.
All right.
By the way, Dean, we're another week has flown by, Dean. Have you seen Apocalypto yet?
It's on the list. On the list. We'll knock it out. We'll knock it out for sure. I've been watching other stuff, but yeah, I'll get to it. I don't know. Is it streaming somewhere, or you want me to pay like $4 for it?
I mean, I could look for you real fast, but I saw it the other day. I thought I saw it for free, but yeah, I just can't imagine though. You do a show in the afternoon. I can't imagine that your schedule's so packed that you can't find 2 hours for a movie. That's just crazy, but whatever, man.
I can. I definitely can. Usually at the end of the night, I tend to watch something before I go to sleep. Lord King Guru says it's on Prime, so there you go. We got the Amazon Prime. We'll check it out. We'll throw it in the queue. There's a lot of stuff to be watched these days. All right. Speaking of movies, by the way, later on in the show, for our tiers, Will has ranked our tiers for us. We don't know the answers just yet. We don't know what Will put in, but we're curious. We teased it the other day. We're going to get some Eddie Murphy movies power ranked. I feel like I know what number one's going to be, but I'm curious what the rest of the board's going to be. Is there anything you want to say as far as teasing the people, Will, or just they got to stick around and wait?
What I will say is, in terms of Eddie Murphy movies, you have to realize Eddie has cranked out a lot of movies over the years. There were some that just could not make the list because of some of the other great movies that I think he's filmed over the years. What I will say, though, is I think in terms of his worst movies, we should all agree or be very close. Let's not give it away. Nobody's seen it. But I think in terms of his worst movies, and Chop's a movie aficionado, I don't think Chop will disagree with what I consider to be some of his worst. And we'll take it from there. We'll take it from there once we get there.
Rotten Tomatoes is not the end all and be all, right? But like I went on there, I was curious. He's got a 0% movie on Rotten Tomatoes, which is such really, really hard to get a 0% from the critics. And it wasn't the one I expected. The one I expected is 5%. But we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it later on in the show. And you're right. Well, people are going to be like, well, how did you not put this on the board? How did you not put it? Only ranked 5.
Like I only had 5 choices. Now, if I had like 50 choices, or 20, even 20 choices, I think we could have really like built out a great list that people would say, I might not completely agree, but I get it, right? But we only had 5. So I took, what I consider to be, some of his top 5. One of my personal best is not even in there. I have one that's like a side movie that a lot of people haven't seen that I think is one of his funniest. But that I didn't put that one on the list because I know for sure, like people just haven't watched that one. But I tried to think about the people, Dean, man of the people here on a Wednesday. Tried to think about what I assume people had actually watched and went from there.
Speaking of being a man of the people, we do want to tell people about Wheel Wednesday. Today we're spinning the wheel. We're giving away a week free of RG Premium. How do you get your name on that board? So we spin it. You go to the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump into the live stream chat channel. Producer Steve has a post. Just click the avatar and you are good to go. Also want to mention, in case you missed it, if you're an RG Premium subscriber, you can now use the RG DraftKings Pick 6 browser extension for Firefox to have premium props and pick'em projections overlaid on your screen so you can quickly and easily find the lines, the best values, and just go ahead and make the expert picks that way. Download that at Firefox. I believe it's just Firefox exclusive right now. At some point, theoretically, they're working on it, trying to make it work as far as Google. I was asking about it as well because I wanted to see how it looked. But I know producer Devin's a big Firefox guy, which I feel like is contrarian. Maybe not. I got a brand new Mac and they preload it with Safari. Like a Safari? Really? That's contrarian. So you have to download the Google Chrome yourself. Chop, did you care about these things? It's Google Chrome is the chalk, right? I feel like it is.
What was the question, Dean?
Oh, geez. You've been here the whole time.
I was looking at something.
No worries. Anything
what was
interesting?
the question?
It's not that important. We can move on.
Yeah, I use Google Chrome.
All right. That's all I was asking, basically. All right. Yes, it is a MacBook. They're talking about that in the chat. Again, jump in the Discord channel, and we're going to be spinning that wheel earlier than usual because we like to do that before we do the tiers and the rankings. So probably around 5:35-ish, give or take, is our ETA, is when we're spinning the wheel. So get in there early. Do not delay. Do not make it difficult on Steve to wait for the very last second so you can throw your name up on the board. Okay. Kind of a small slate today, right? So I guess somewhere in the middle, I suppose, right? It's an 8-gamer. Yankees, Dodgers, pretty clear and obvious, the two best stacks. We'll talk about it, at least from a most likely perspective. Ownership's a different conversation. We do also live in the world of the salary cap. Chop, give me the summary here as far as today's, the overview. What are we looking at as far as this slate today? What are you seeing?
Overview, we have some very, very, very good chalk pitching, which I am behind the chalk pitching, and we have some very good chalk stacks. And it's going to be hard to get away from those chalk stacks. So I don't mind in situations like this playing a lot of chalk, and then we'll tweak it a little bit and try to get different, and just instead of like getting different in a whole stack and both your starting pitchers, maybe play some chalk and get different in one or two other spots. That's just the way it's going to be. Like, it's some chalk, and and a lot of it looks really like it could hit tonight. So chalky night, Dean, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, Bryce Miller, going to be very popular on DK. 43% is our current ownership projection on him. Sonny Gray at 27%. David Peterson looks like the SB2, if you want to look at it that way, as far as a salary saver. Taking on the Marlins. Marlins, a horrible team, bad ballpark, especially bad against lefties. Christopher Sanchez against Boston as well is the next guy at 20%. Will, what are you seeing? Give me the overview. How does the slate look to you?
I like the slate. I think there are, a couple little stacks that I feel like you could use to get away from the chalk, but like generally speaking, the chalk looks good today. So if you're going to get different, you're probably going to have to attack a reasonable pitcher or, one or two teams that are semi off the beaten path, even on this small slate. But I do like the slate. I think there's enough variety for us to do what we need to do for sure.
Just checking the totals here, see if anything had changed. I just went ahead and dropped Ross weather report. As far as actual precipitation, doesn't seem like a major concern. We're currently yellow-green in Boston. It is going to be hot in a couple places. We do have the old fire emoji, which, Chop, just means it's hot. That's all it means. More than anything else. I had the same question last year. That's why Roth thought on a previous show, he thought like I was trolling him. That's not what was happening. St. Louis, 88 degrees. The temperature there in St. Louis is expected to be pretty hot there. And Kansas City, which, the Yankees are there. They have a 6 total. They're facing an opener and most likely Daniel Lynch behind them. In 103 previous games, we've seen homers get a boost of 19%. Runs get a boost of 23%, and ERA a boost of 20% as well. Similar weather, 89-degree temperature, 12 miles per hour, wind blowing out left center. So, the Yankees are going to be popular. We don't have a lineup just yet, but I imagine it's going to be pretty standard. There is an opener, so it might be a little bit goofy, but probably not. If that lineup did come out, I missed it, but I don't think it's out just yet. A couple of the night games as well. No lineups for the Angels, White Sox, Mariners, Dodgers, or Rangers. The Dodgers did pick up Kevin Biggio. I assume he's not going to be available just yet, but what's the difference between like Gavin Lux and Kevin Biggio? That's, I don't know, Enrique Hernandez or something like that. I didn't see what the move was officially, but the back end stuff of the Dodgers is pretty rough, but their front six is pretty spectacular. All right, Will, talk to me about pitchers. How are you approaching pitching tonight?
I'm not going to get cute at pitcher tonight. I think most people probably want to play some Sonny Gray against Pittsburgh. I'm in. If Sonny Gray can get a little bit more efficient, He could absolutely go 6 innings and pick up a fair amount of strikeouts here. I feel like I'm a little bit lower on Lodolo. At 9,600. This is DraftKings pricing. Bryce Miller is really. I mean, he's got so much ownership, Dean. I think in tournaments, Sanchez and Pivetta are going to be kind of where I go. Like generally speaking, just from a salary perspective. But I do think, for what it's worth, I think Bryce Miller has too much ownership. I know it's the White Sox. I mean, we've got him projected from north of 40%. I think that's really high for a slate this size, where you've got Gray and even Lodolo. I'm saying you've got guys that have strikeout upside. So I'm going to be under the field on Bryce Miller today. And that would probably be my one big thing that I would say out of that group. I'm under the field on Bryce Miller. Going to be over the field on Gray, over the field on Pivetta, probably over the field on Tanner Bybee just a touch. I know they're in a Great American Small Park, but I mean, if he could pick up some strikeouts here, and I'm definitely going to be over the field on Sanchez facing Boston, who struggled with lefties all year.
All right, biggest K rate on this slate is Sonny Gray, 32.8%, Pivetta 31%, Lodolo at 26, Bybee 25. Both those guys pitching tough ballpark. Gray at 24, but he's facing the Dodgers. Then there's Bryce Miller at 24%. How much do you guys care about home road splits? Because Bryce Miller has been much, much better at home than he has been at the road. You know, it's not a massive sample. It's just a season I'm looking at. Do we care about that, Chop? Do we care about home road splits? Because Miller has been distinctly better at home. And again, he's home and he's facing the White Sox, but he's really popular.
Yeah, I care about it. What do you think my name is? Derek Carty? I care about the splits, Dean. I care about them. Bryce Miller feels better at home. I think it's a better ballpark for him. It's obviously a pitcher-friendly ballpark, whatever it is. Maybe he can't handle the road crowd. Maybe he loves his home crowd behind him. I don't know, Dean. Maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe it is a physical thing, but he's definitely been better, this year and last year. Short career for him, but in his career, he has been better at this massive ballpark than he has been on the road by like we're not splitting hairs here, right? There is a big difference. So yeah, I believe in it. That's one thing I was eyeballing this morning, or anytime he pitches, I'm looking at that as a factor. So definitely think it matters.
Yeah. Also, like your home mound, I think is a thing. Like I think that's a real thing. You hear pitchers talk about it all the time, and sometimes a pitcher will come in. We saw it the other day. I think it was Chicago. Like they had the grounds crew come in and adjust some stuff. They just didn't like it. But, it's your home grounds crew. They will have the mounts you're liking. It's something you're used to. That actually does matter, according to the pitcher. So I do think it's real, too, to some degree. And, so, of course, the ballpark's good, too. Will, you have a thought on that? Anything else as far as Miller home runs? You're not on Miller, but I guess you don't care that he's pitching at home and he's been fabulous at home?
Yeah, I said I would be under the field. But once again, don't confuse me not playing Miller with me not liking him. I just don't like him at 43% today. That's really high. When Dean, I feel like there are other pitchers that have a similar upside. So, like for instance, if Miller was like the most expensive guy and there was no Pivetta and no Lodolo, and like Boston was pitching, I don't know, like a random guy, Cooper Criswell. And the St. Louis was pitching Mikolas, and the Cincinnati was pitching Frankie Montas. Like I'd have a totally different view of Bryce Miller today. But when we've got Gray, who's got upside, and Lodolo, who's got some upside, and Pivetta, who's got upside, I just think for Miller to be north of 40% when there are other guys, I'm willing to get off of it.
We got the Yankees: Volpe, Soto, Judge, Stanton, Verdugo, Torres, Rizzo, Trevino, and DJ LeMahieu. I believe that's essentially as expected. Will, tell me about the other guys. If you're not playing Bryce Miller, who are you elevating? Who are you going to be above the field on?
So, I did mention that actually, Dean. It's going to be. I'm going to be above the field on Sonny Gray, above the field on Pivetta, and I'm going to be well over the field on Sanchez against Boston. Those are my three. I'm getting. Well over the field. I am going to play some Lodolo because he does have the upside, but I'm going to be more in line with the field. Gray, I'm going to be well over. Pivetta, I'm going to be well over. Sanchez, I'm going to be well over.
I love that lineup that Sanchez gets the pick on. I don't know if you guys looked at Plate IQ today. Well, here, in a 50 at-bat sample, I think it's 50 at-bat. Let me stretch it back to last season, current season, last season. Yeah, we can do it that way. 50 at-bat sample. What do you think Bobby Dahlbeck his K percent is versus lefties? 50 at-bats dating back to last season. Chop, give me the number.
I think I saw it already today. I think it's around 50%. I did look at it today, like when I was going through, which is why Sanchez really was like one of my top shot options. It's also give you an early K of the bidet. That's also why I took Sanchez over 5.5 strikeouts tonight on the pick'em sites for what it's worth. I think it's 50%, Dean, if I can remember back.
It is 50%, and 50 at bats. His ISO is 44. This season, his ISO is 0 versus lefties in 28 at bats. Like I know Dahlbeck was a much high prospect and he has a lot of power, but he's not hitting the ball. That's kind of a problem. This season, this collective lineup versus lefties, 29.5% striking out. That is insane. O'Neill at 34%, Devers at 32%, left on left. I love the over on Sanchez as well as far as strikeouts. You said the number is 5.5, Will? You got to pay a lot of juice for that?
5.5. No, I don't think it's too much. I can check. Give me a second.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about Sanchez. For just that Boston lineup looks spectacular for him to pick on. Yeah, Chop, jump in here. Your thoughts as far as Sanchez?
I running one lineup on DraftKings. Man, it's going to be hard not to play him. It's going to be hard for me not to have him on that roster. He has the best mix of with the arm talent and the matchup. I didn't look at Plate IQ, although Plate IQ is great, and I probably should have looked at it a little bit more. My personal algorithm, Dean, algorithm, and the qualifiers I have identify 2/3 of the Boston lineup as high strikeout and 2/3 as very weak hitters. So 2/3 of the lineup is garbage. No offense, Kirky and his Red Sox, but they're not good. So I love Sanchez. It's going to be hard to choose two starting pitchers. I like about 5 guys today, and it's just going to be tough. But I think Sanchez is going to be one of them.
Even Devers is subdued left on left. I assume he's in like the 1/3 of good hitters for Boston. But he's not been great. Once the power has been subdued, at least 116, 321 that's pretty good, but also striking out a ton. Tyler O'Neill, another guy, a lot of power, but also will strike out a lot. I feel pretty good about Sanchez. If I don't have the money for Sanchez, Chop, I also feel pretty good about Peterson for the Mets at 6.3. Just seems a little bit too cheap. You're making just one lineup. Have you figured out your one lineup? Is he in the pool? You mentioned 5 potential options. He's probably one of the 5. I'm guessing he's one of the 5.
He is one of the potential options. No, I don't piece it together till I get more real lineups come in. I hate to build a lineup and then all of a sudden something comes in and you're like, oh shit, that guy's leading off. Like I know he sucks, but Manuel Margot today leading off for Minnesota. Like if you built and then you got to rethink it. Like, man, could I play Margot cheap for leadoff? So I don't want to do all that. Once I build it, I want it to be good. So I'll wait for it. But Peterson is in the mix. Absolutely. It's because of the price tag. Like, let's face it, if he was in the same neighborhood as Sanchez and some of these other guys, I wouldn't be so high to play him. But man, he's so cheap. And there's the chalky stack, which is the great stack today, which a lot of people are going to play, rightfully so. You're going to need some savings at pitcher. So
yeah,
one thing leads to another. So man, he's in the mix for sure.
You guys play that early slate. I didn't play it, but I'm peeking the score. I saw the runs getting piled up. The final score 9 for the Rockies to 17 for Minnesota.
Yeah, that was garbage.
And that was not in Colorado, might we add.
5 hits for Correa.
Although Roth did have the weather edge, really liking that game, even though it was a very small sample size, but he liked it, and that did scare me a little bit off of the pitching.
Yeah.
And Royce Lewis homered because he homers every single game, essentially, it seems like, at least. And of course, Margot, whenever he starts versus a lefty, he got the hook. He went 2 for 3, 2 runs, an RBI, and a walk, and they're like, we got to take him out of this game. And they brought in, I don't know what the situation was, but I presume it was against a righty, and Kepler relieved him. All right. Back to this. Well, why are we talking about the day slate? That's my bad. We got to talk about the slate that actually matters, the one that everybody's still at 0 on. Well, you making just one lineup? You making 20 lineups? How many lineups you making?
I'm just gonna make 1 or 2 because Dean, my early part of the day was consumed with basketball. I trained a kid at 11:15, went to practice from 12 to 2. We got out and had a little small coaches meeting for about 20, 30 minutes. And then I got home, did some other content, got some early baseball props in, and then I ate some meatloaf and potatoes, and then I got into this slate. So just one lineup for me today, man. No 150.
Producer Steve has dropped a poll in the chats. Just very simple. Game 3, Celtics, Mavs. What is the line settled at? Is Boston still like a 2-point dog? I saw that it was. That's what it was a couple days ago.
It's moving up towards Dallas even more. Last I looked, it was 2.5. Some places 3. Dean, it's moving up. The Porzingis news got them rattled.
Well, what's the news? I assume he's not playing, but I don't know.
No, I mean they're just saying questionable. I think it could go either way. Honestly, I think he could suit up and play and not have very many ill effects. Or they could play this game the rest of the series and he never suits up and never plays. I don't know. I have no idea. But people seem to think it's going to matter right now because they're jumping on Dallas.
Yeah. Luka. So supposedly now, I can't confirm this. I do feel like we got it from reasonable sources. Luka's getting numbing injections so he can actually suit up and play. So this thing is getting real interesting, which everybody's nicked up down the stretch, but. They said he had to get numbed up the last game to suit up out there. I mean, he's played hurt all year, in my opinion, and still like averaging a triple-double. It's incredible. Like,
Dean,
it's unbelievable.
Dean, you ever use a little numbing cream to help you with your performance?
Just you're talking about his.
I am officially muting myself to laugh.
I mean, just like maybe a pickup basketball game or something. I don't know, man. Don't get your mind out the gutter, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. By the way, I've not officially answered the poll question: Boston or Dallas.
And Dee's answer is, well, I mean, I'm open to it. That makes it even more funny. Oh my
God. I'm going to go Boston. Although, if the NBA had their way, they probably want Dallas to win a game. And if they don't win this one, then forget it. But, yeah. Chop, you have a show later on tonight talking about the shut-on slate. What is it, 7:30? What time is the shut-on slate?
Yeah, it probably starts about 6:30. Let's see, game time probably about. I haven't even checked the game time. Probably show starts about 6:30. Let's call it like it's with Big Will Chief.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
We're swapping in Will for Squirrel.
Yeah, we're gonna do it to it. It's gonna be a good little show. Get in there and get your questions in. We like chatting it up, man. We don't want to regurgitate the same player info, so we'd like to answer some questions.
Chop, why are the Astros so terrible? Is a question from producer Steve.
Man.
I'm guessing producer Steve bet the Astros. I don't know if he did or didn't, but I'm guessing that's what happened.
I've been on this. I've said this one many a times. The owner stuck his nose in too much. This was a great franchise, a great what do they call it? A dynasty, I would dare to say, when he was just on the sidelines. Well, 7 years to make the ALCS at least, and a couple world championships, a couple of more World Series appearances after that. And then all of a sudden he got his nose in there, man, and he ruined it. And so now it never works when you just throw money around like, oh, let's get the best closer on the market and give him 5 years. Let's get this guy. Let's spend 3 years, 33 on this, middle reliever. That never works.
Look at the Mets.
It's sustainable when it's built from within, man, and you develop your players good. That's how it's long term. So, yeah, they got a ways to go to get back. So we'll see though. And now, Dean, also,
you're missing Kyle Tucker.
Side note too is also when you teach these guys to spin the ball as hard as they can, and with all that spin rate, eventually it does catch up to you. And you've got an entire pitching staff right now who just undergone Tommy John surgery. 4 guys, so they're just kind of churning them out, and that doesn't help either.
We got a White Sox lineup: Lopez leading off, Vaughn, Sheets, DeYoung, Colas, Deloach, Sosa, Jolks, and Lee is the catcher. Derek is saying Michael Brantley was the key. I think Will's a big Michael Brantley guy. He loved all those singles. Good clubhouse guy.
But Michael Brantley I like him as a baseball player, and that just kind of translated to DFS team. He's my favorite baseball player. And then that translates to DFS because he'd always be
all time?
No, not all time, but like he's in my top 5 personally. But that's just because I liked him as a baseball player. This is not me saying he's top 5 statistically. So before everybody goes on, he's one of my personal favorite baseball players, Michael Brantley.
Got a pretty swing from the left side. I always like that swing.
And I am left-handed, by the way, which also contributes to why I like Michael Brantley.
Same. I got the lefty bias as well. We both shopped at the Leftorium. Pavetta, I think, is somebody we should at least acknowledge, and only 10% for Pavetta. This Philadelphia lineup, there's some boppers, obviously, but they're also without, speaking of injuries, no Trey Turner. They're without Realmuto went on the IL yesterday. Marsh is missing, so it's not the best Philadelphia iteration. I think you're supposed to have some Pavetta in tournaments. It's not that hard to get over 10% if you want to get over 10%. Braxton Garrett on the other side of that Mets-Marlins game. I do prefer Peterson, but I think Garrett's also in play. Walker Buehler, I guess, is fine, but he's just not really showing it.
I am taking a full fade on him for what it's worth. I have 0 Buehler today.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's probably where I'm going to end up too. I don't make enough lineups to where I have to include him. And Chop, is he even in your 5 you're considering, Walker Buehler?
No, definitely not. I can't really identify if he's a decent play or a bad play. I don't know, but he's definitely not in the top 5. He's just kind of there right now.
Anybody else we want to acknowledge their existence? Eric in chat's asking about Bybee.
Okay. Well, back to Buehler. Like, Texas is bad right now on offense. You talk about how Houston fell off. Texas fell off major after the World Series last year. They're bad on offense. So that's what keeps Buehler in play to me. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not. Bybee's okay, man. It's a tough ballpark, but he's a really solid pitcher. And I could definitely, I'm not like Xing him out of my player pool or anything like that. I think he's an acceptable option.
Alan's asking about Cannon pitch count. He threw 102 pitches on the 27th. It's not that he can't do that. That's unlikely, but he's also not been good is the other part of it. Now he is facing Seattle, so theoretically he might get a few extra strikeouts. He is cheap, but again, I can't justify going there. 22% Ks in the season. The walks at 5% are fine. He's been a little bit unlucky if you look at the Sierra versus the ERA, but I don't think he's necessary is sort of my official take on Cannon. But if you're making 150, sure, why not? I suppose. Anything on Cannon, Will? Anything on anybody else as far as pitchers, or shall we, put a bow on it and talk about some hitters? Before we do that, we have to give away a week free of RG Premium. Hopefully, you guys got in to the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat. Hit the wheel, your name's on the board, get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Door is closing on that momentarily. Will, you got anything else as far as pitchers? Anything as far as the White Sox pitcher, Jonathan Cannon?
Not playing Cannon. Definitely not going to make my list today. And keep in mind, usually I run for 150. I'm with Chop today. I am just going single entry. And right now, my selections or the pitchers I have in my pool are Sonny Gray, Lodolo, Pavetta. I did leave Bryce Miller in. Tanner Bybee, Sanchez, and Peterson. That's who I have in that I'm going to try to decide how am I going to work these pitchers in by the end of it. If you gun to my head right now, I'm probably going Sanchez, Sonny Gray, and I'll figure out the bats. If I don't play Sonny Gray, I'm leaning Pavetta, Sanchez at the moment.
Andrew is asking me about Jake Irvin. What slate is that? What is Jake Irvin?
Jake Irvin's not on the slate.
Okay. I'm like, did I miss something? Yeah. I don't know if that's for Yahoo or something. Or
he's good. He's been solid. He's just not on the slate.
Yeah, he's not, if he was on the slate, he would have probably been on my list as long as
he's got some talent, but he's just not on this slate. Yeah.
I
would say, Dean, you want me to summarize my pitchers?
Yeah, please.
First off, I would say that gandering at this White Sox lineup with Luis Robert, their best hitter, not playing today.
Yes.
That really solidifies the case for Bryce Miller. It's going to be hard now to really decide. But
I'm sold, John. I'm sold.
I am totally on board with all the chalk here up top. Miller, Gray, Peterson, Sanchez. Don't know which two, but I think they're all good options. The fifth option for me, just outside that little bubble, is Nick Pivetta in a revenge game against the Phillies.
That's right.
Like Pivetta he's been solid. When you look at his game logs and you see like 2 bad performances, and what did he change last year that was different? And just digging into him, like some of his secondaries he's not using anymore the same way. He's not using his slider as much. He's not using his changeup at all. Not using his curveball as much. He replaced it all with a sweeper, which is the new thing. Everybody loves a good sweeper.
Yeah.
It's made him good, man. It's made him really, really solid. So, I don't know about Philly. They can be a tough team, but hey, if he's feeling vengeful tonight, you never know. So he's on the bubble. The rest of the guys, it's going to be hard for me to get to, only because those top 4 guys are just so solid that I don't know that I want to reach too much on anybody else.
Pivetta all the way up to 33.7% Ks versus righties this year. He's going to see 1, 2, 3, 4 righties: Rojas, Whitaker, Baum, Castellanos. A pretty contact-heavy lineup, though. Outside of Schwarber, everybody else is in the green as far as making contact. So I think that's the one thing that kind of holds it back for me as far as Pivetta. Only 17.5% collective when it comes to striking out versus righties this year. So that's why I have him a little bit behind the other guys. Also, he's not super cheap. We did mention Sonny Gray. We talked about Sonny Gray. Marlins game is on the main DK slate. I'm not sure why would you think otherwise. I don't know what we said. Marlins Mets is on the main DK slate. It's Jake Irvin that's not on the main slate for Washington, taking on, I believe, Detroit. Anything else, Will, before we go ahead and spin the wheel? Producer Steve's going to spin it.
Let's spin it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give a week free of RG Premium away to the people. And here we go. We're spinning away. Feel free to rock out at your own leisure. All right. Shout out to Eagles Nation 83. Either producer Steve or producer Devin, they'll slide in. They'll hook you up with a week free of RG Premium. If you didn't win, you can always pay for RG Premium. Never a better time. NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB, WNBA. And if you commit to 6 months, you get $250 off the regular price, as opposed to going month by month by month by month. Yes, chat is claiming it is rigged. Our apologies. We won't rig it next time. How about that? If you want just 1 month, you get $40 off 1 month. All this stuff, the links are in the description. And 3 days. You want to just try it out, the old test drive, 3 days, $19.99. Check out the link in the description. Even Tim is on Team It's Rigged, hyping it up there in the chat. All right. Chop, you're claiming it's rigged as well. Is that what have you seen? Do you know something? What's going on?
I think 2 times ago when I did the show, that same guy won.
Is he multi-entering? Is that what's happening possibly?
I don't know, but it's really suspicious.
You ever play roulette before? You played roulette, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen it land like on 23 back-to-back, right? It happens.
Never seen it land on 23 back-to-back. No, I don't play it that much to see that.
A different number. I expect a random number, but variance. The variance is a thing. That's just how it goes. But how dare you question the integrity of producer Steve? He would never rig the giveaway for sure. One thing he might have rigged today. No, he didn't, because Will gave him the answers for our tiers. If you guys are joining us late, people in chat, let us know the absolute best Eddie Murphy movie and the worst Eddie Murphy movie. And I think it's pretty easy to distinguish which is which column. Also, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you know we go live. We appreciate all that stuff. Taking you all the way up the lock. Crunch time coming in with Kevin Roth in 35 minutes. You got Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. You have Taylor Swift as well. Again, taking you guys all the way up to first pitch this evening. Throw out some of those movies. And do you want to take us through the thought process? I wanted to see if we can get some. How about this, Chop? You tell me. Before we see Will's board, Is there something you would be adamant that has to be on the board, one way or the other, either all the way up the top or all the way down at the bottom?
No. I mean, I have a lot of Eddie Murphy movies that I like. So if he's in any of those or up in those top couple of spots, I'm fine with it. It's hard to distinguish between, the movies because they're all really good. So I wouldn't say that, but once we see his board, I'll give you my thoughts. But I wouldn't like flip out if any of my favorite are at the top because it's really hard to tell the difference between them. They're just all so good.
Who's your saying banners says Coming to America, then Beverly Hills Cop. That's the top two. Richie Smalls was thinking what I'm thinking. I thought Pluto Nash will be the obvious worst one. We'll see. The Adventures of Pluto Nash. Does Raw count? Probably not. I guess Raw was in theaters, right? But is that officially a movie?
Raw was like a comedy special, so I didn't include Raw in the movies because he's also got Delirious. So I feel like his comedy career is like that. To me, that's a whole separate category. These are production films that we were talking about. Okay, so that just want to put because everybody likes Raw. I think it's Delirious. So those aren't included in this. Those aren't included.
The board has been revealed. Explain yourself.
So, I mean, obviously, Coming to America, that's my obvious one because that's my favorite movie. So that one was going to be up there. Hold on, let me clean this up once again, folks. Remember, Eddie Murphy's got like so many movies, so you have to understand. Like, I couldn't get them up there. 48 Hours is amazing. I love 48 Hours, but I also tried to stick with the theme of the game, Dean, which was best. Then maybe a little not as good. That. Then like middle of the road, which I think Trading Places is probably actually much better than middle of the road. But I said okay, and then obviously Vampire in Brooklyn I thought was just not good at all. And then Adventures of Pluto Nash by far has got to be Eddie's worst movie, I think, in terms of the mainstream ones that everybody knows about. So yeah, Coming to America, Life, Trading Places, Vampire in Brooklyn, Pluto Nash. Remember, the worst are going to the bottom, Trading Places in the middle, Life, Coming to America up top. But listen, so now let's clear this up. There's 48 Hours. There's another 48 Hours. There's Shrek. Beverly Hills Cop. There's Shrek. There's Daddy Daycare. There are other ones that people didn't watch as much, like the Distinguished Gentleman, which is one of my top favorites that people just didn't watch as much. There's Boomerang. There's Golden Child. There's Nutty Professor. And then he's got some other ones that aren't as good, like
Bowfinger?
Bowfinger's on there, like Dr. Doolittle. Like Eddie's got a wide variety. Norbit. There's just so many. And I couldn't put them all in. I would have needed 20, 30 categories. So I went with these because I felt like these were all really good. Chop, hand it over to you because Chop's more of a movie aficionado than Dean. I think
that's not true. I don't know why you believe that's. I challenge that.
Okay, well, throw out the challenge flag.
This guy hadn't even seen Apocalypse. He ain't no movie fan.
I haven't seen one movie. It's fine. I've seen a bunch of others.
This guy skipped out on Gladiator when he was 18 to go watch some Tootsie or something like that. I don't know.
You're getting the first of all, Tootsie came out like 10, 15 years before Gladiator.
Okay.
I watched that Dennis Quaid movie.
I'm sitting here talking. I didn't even mention Harlem Nights. Like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Eddie's got so many. Like, so I just, I went with what I thought was a fair list for the show.
All right.
So, Chop, your review.
So I would say, first of all, yeah, that list is good. I can live with it. I would have probably swapped Life and Coming to America, but Life is just like, I really like Life. But that's a good list right there. Some other ones that I think could have been up there. I mean, obviously 48 Hours. I mean, Reggie Hammond. That was a game changer. That was a game changer, man. When you first,
I think a new one's coming out. Side note, I think they're making a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. And then those are all good. Let's see. We got. I'll tell you what. Some other ones that could have made my list. Maybe. Like, there's a lot of good ones. Daddy Daycare. I saw that one in chat.
I love Daddy Daycare. Love
that one. That one's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
And some may say that ushered in a genre, Dean, of kid-friendly movies that were actually comedies for adults, and that's a thing now, And so who knows? Maybe Eddie.
It was actually good. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
for
Oh,
me,
yeah. It was
I thought
funny. It was
kids.
good. Yeah. Yeah. It was good. I thought Shrek was good. Voice of Donkey. The original Shrek was good. I give you some that are under the radar here, Dean. I liked Tower Heist with Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I'll go a deep dive here, Dean. I thought it was hilarious when I saw it the first time. The Distinguished Gentleman. I don't know if many people have seen that one.
That's one of my personal favorites.
Will threw it out there.
Did he? Okay, my bad. That was he was hilarious in that one.
How you not know Dave Johnson? He the name you know. Go Dave Johnson. Oh,
he's so good, man. But he's got a lot of good ones. So you can't really go wrong at the top of that list.
Yeah. Anybody remember Showtime starring Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro in 2002? I don't think anybody saw that. 25% Rotten Tomato score.
I've seen it.
So I'll just throw this out. Like Vampire in Brooklyn, 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. Norbit, 9%. Adventures of Pluto Nash, 5%. But there's one that has 0%. I never saw it, but I do remember this movie. 1,000 words. I think he was only allowed to say 1,000 words was the gimmick of the movie.
Yeah,
it got a 0%. It's 0. How's that possible?
I've seen that one before as well.
What were your thoughts on it?
It was fine for me.
Is it a kids movie?
Might
have been a kids movie.
I can't remember if it was kid or no kid, but I mean the movie is self-explanatory, but you still have to watch it to understand like why.
PG-13. Kerry Washington also in it. I did not see it, but I'm fascinated by a movie with a 0%.
I have seen it. Yep, I have seen it.
All right, let's move on. The chat's chiming in as well. Dolomite. Nobody referenced Dolomite. That is currently the number one.
Yeah.
That was a Netflix movie a few years ago. I think that's where I watched it. Yeah, it came out in 2019. All right. Let's knock out our what do we do with this board? The people don't know. They know at this point, but just in case they're not aware, we rank the teams and we put them in the tiers. The best tiers, the best teams go hang out with the King Jockey Joffer in Coming to America. And then the worst teams are hanging out with Pluto Nash. Very first game on the board. Will, you're going to go first for us. It is the Boston Red Sox taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. The aforementioned Christopher Sanchez taking on Nick Pivetta. Where are we placing the Phillies and the Red Sox when it comes to how strong their stacks are today?
Boston's for sure going in the Adventures of Pluto Nash. And the Phillies are a Vampire in Brooklyn team, in my opinion. Love Pivetta, but I also understand the Phillies could get to him, pop off a run or two, but I still don't think they're an elite offense today. Yeah, Dean's on ultimate mute, everybody. Ultimate mute by Dean Shavelson.
Okay, 1-0. The game's not over just yet. Unbelievable. Bad job on me. We're throwing a perfect game, and I didn't want to talk about it because you're not supposed to say anything in a perfect game. Chop, what do you got? Do we confirm or deny? Were you with Will here, or do you want to counter any of these placements?
That's where I had them both.
That's probably where I'd put them as well. Mets and the Marlins, 7.5 total. Mets are favorites here, -150, taking on Braxton Garrett. David Pearson taking the bump for them. Chop, the board is yours. Producer Steve trying to manipulate his Mets all the way up to trading places. I don't know if you're going to be heavily influenced by that, but he likes to play the game, and sometimes he'll fudge with the Mets, but we'll see. Where do you have the Mets and the Marlins?
To start off with the Marlins, all right. Now, I'll start off by saying I like Peterson, and I don't like the Marlins, but I'm going to put them in trading places because Peterson seems to be semi-chalk here, one of the top 4 chalkiest pitchers. He's not great, so just by the standard of a stack and the leverage you get, I'll put him there. Like I said, I don't like them as a team, as an offense, and I like Peterson. I'd rather play Peterson, but the stack deserves some attention for leverage. The Mets, I'm going up to life. Braxton Garrett's been very hit or miss this year, mostly missed, to be honest with you. I'm just not sold on his skill set right now. The Mets have been a disappointment, but they still have some guys in this lineup. They're pretty solid against lefties, and so I'm going to give them the benefit here and put them up in life.
All right, so Jose's asked which games happen to have the extreme pitchers one way or the other, pitchers umpires or against or hitters umpire. We got one of each. We have an extreme hitters umpire for the Yankees. There you go. And we did one more reason to play the Yankees. Yankees in Kansas City. Extreme hitters umpire. There's an extreme pitchers umpire in this game. So we have an extreme pitchers umpire for the Mets and the Marlins. Will, do we agree or disagree with Chop? If you disagree, I got to break the tie. But currently, Chop's got the Mets all the way up to life, and the Marlins hanging out right in the middle with trading places.
I'd probably have both at trading places personally, just because they're the Mets. But like, I'm perfectly fine with them staying in life because I understand. Like, I'm not a big Garrett fan either. Like, I mean, he's got a 20% K rate overall. The Mets don't strike out a ton. It's just every time I play the Mets, they're so anemic in the run scoring department. But all matchups aren't created equal. This matchup is just fine for the Mets. I'm perfectly fine with them being in life.
Okay, no Brandon Nimmo for New York, and Jazz not leading off because the lefty. They have Otto Lopez leading off today for the Marlins. I think the best thing you can say about these guys is they're cheap, right? Bell is cheap, Berger's cheap. Outside of Jazz, they're pretty cheap collectively. If you want a cheap secondary stack, I'm not making a ton of lineups. I'm not going to make a full Met stack or even a full Marlin stack, but maybe as secondary stuff. That's kind of where I'm at. Let's move on. Will, the board is yours. It's Cleveland and Cincinnati. Really low total considering the ballpark there. In Cincinnati, it's 8. Two couple solid pitchers. The Tanner Bybee taking on Nick Lodolo. Where do you have Cleveland and Cincy?
Yeah, I just have them both in Vampire and Brooklyn. I don't think they're the worst teams on the slate, but I think the good pitching definitely bumps them down from a middle of the road stack. So they're not a team I'm avid about targeting today.
Both teams are hanging out in Vampire and Brooklyn. Is that correct?
Yes.
Chopper?
That is where I would have put them also. Yeah. This is two pretty solid pitchers right here. I don't think I want to mess around with the stacks too much.
About 20 minutes or so until we get crunch time coming in. Still some more stacks to rank. Probably going to be able to answer some questions from chat as well. So, and if we don't answer those questions, of course, Roth will ask those questions. So fire them off to Dave Potts. I'll fire them off to Taylor Smith. Next game, it's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh taking on St. Louis. 8.5 total. It's going to be scorching there in the Lou. 88 is the current temperature. Sonny Gray taking on Bailey Falter. St. Louis, pretty big favorite here, Chopper. -178. Almost a 5 total for St. Louis. About 3.5 for Pittsburgh. Where are we putting the Pirates and the Cards?
I'd start off with the Pirates and say that they're in the adventures of Pluto Nash. I just don't want to pick on Sonny Gray. I mean, some of this stuff we're also taking into account the stacks we're going to talk about coming up that are really good, and how can I, play some of these other teams when I could play those other stacks. But I'm going to put them down there. St. Louis, I've got interest in. I'm going to life. I know they haven't, Arenado and Goldschmidt been disappointing this year, but they've got a few guys, Mason Wynn, and those guys who are pretty decent against lefties. And so I'm going to give them a shot here. You say it's scorching, then let's see if we can get some heat, making that ball rise up a little bit and hitting some home runs.
Yeah, 88 is the projected temperature. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the weather edge, but I'm pretty sure that is where we're still at. Yeah, 88. 112 games, a bump in homers at 14%, a bump in runs at 20% with similar weather in this ballpark. What say you, Will? Oh, did we lose Will? Did he freeze on us? Chop, you're still with me, right?
I'm here, Dean. He's just doing his Axel Foley impersonation. Freeze.
He's in deep thoughts mode right now. I don't know if that counts for a mute or not, but does that tie the score officially, or that's a different scoreboard, I think. But hopefully we can get Will back in a second. But I like St. Louis as well. Bailey Falter, 4.77 Sierra, the third highest Sierra on the slate. Fly ball guy, severe fly ball guy. He's already given up 1.5 homers per on the season. It's been pretty lucky as far as BABIP as well. I don't like to say it out loud. I'll kind of whisper it, but yeah, I kind of like the Cardinals tonight. I kind of like the free scout is officially won. There you go, scrolling on the bottom. Thank you, producer Steve, on top of it. Ad-libbing with the board. Appreciate that. But like I like St. Louis better than the Mets. I know we have our categories broken up, but maybe I'm wrong. We have Will back, it looks like. But Will, I don't know if you know, but the freeze board has been updated to 1.
Yeah, I saw it. Oh boy, I didn't want.
What do you have as far as the Cardinals?
But no, I agree with Chop here, man. Pittsburgh definitely in the Pluto Nash category, and I like St. Louis today as well against Falter. Life category, I'm feeling great about that.
If I was making a bunch of lineups, I don't mind a little bit of like leverage Pittsburgh stacks, but I'm probably not going to get there. So I would consider Vampire in Brooklyn, but hey, I'm not playing. You guys agreed, so that's that. Will, you're up now. Yankees, Royals, 10.5 total, 10.5 big boy total. Yeah. Yankees closing in on 6, the Royals close to 5. Opener for KC, and then we're expecting the lefty Daniel Lynch to come in. Cody Poteet is going to be throwing baseballs for the Yankees. Where do you have New York and KC, Will?
Yeah, I've got both in the coming to America category, and I actually think the Yankees are going to pick up more ownership than Kansas City, and I like Kansas City just as much. Kansas City against Little Poteet, and the Yankees against Daniel, probably about to get lynched here. Anyway, I think I like this game. I think this game has got fireworks written all over it on both sides. I do think Kansas City is an exceptional tournament team. It's amazing. So I really like this game.
Can I just poke one hole in KC before we throw out the chop? I just like the back end of this lineup, man. Lofton, Fermin, Hampson, Isbell.
Okay, let me ask you this, Dean. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Here's my counterpoint. Do you plan on playing the Dodgers today?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I haven't made any lineups.
The back of this lineup, Enrique Hernandez, Pages, Lux, Hayward. Okay, well, there you have it.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, I guess Hunter Dozier's out, right? And there was a Hunter Dozier, somebody Hunter. And MJ Melendez not playing baseball today for Kansas City. Massey, we could really use Massey today. He's been out for a while, obviously. I love Witt. Witt's spectacular. I'm good with Vinny Spaghetti. Yeah, Salpal, sure. Velasquez, sure, why not? But let's see what Chop has to say. Are both teams in Coming America for you?
Yankees are definitely in the Coming to America category. Although, Dean, if I was going to counterpoint one, like how can we not stack the Yankees? It's a full bullpen game practically, sometimes that's a lot harder on an offense. So you just never know. But I've definitely got them in Coming to America. That's just playing devil's advocate. But Kansas City, I had the next category down in life. Not quite in that big category, but the weather looks good. I'm not a believer in Poteet as a long-term guy here. There's nothing like his arsenal isn't like Paul Skeens blows you off the map, right? Poteet's the opposite. It's just very average. So maybe the hot weather combined with a guy who's got to regress here. He's pitched well in his first couple starts here, but he's going to regress here, I would imagine. Puts him in life for me.
It's a really, really small sample, but we do have dramatic splits as far as the strikeouts. I don't know if it's worth getting into just because the sample's so small, but he's faced 32 lefties, 29 righties. His Ks versus lefties, 9%. His Ks versus righties, 27%. I'm not sure if he's a reverse splits pitcher historically, or if it's just like small sample stuff. I just thought it was at least interesting. And I'm going to agree with Chop and move Casey down to life. I got to split the tie. Let's move Casey. I like Casey more than the Mets and probably right there with St. Louis. Okay. Chop, you got the next game. Next game is the White Sox taking on the Mariners. 7.5 total. Most of those runs going Seattle's way. 4.5. Less than 3 for the White Sox. We mentioned no Luis Robert, Bryce Miller. He's been dominant at home. How do we feel about the Mariners and the White Sox, Chopper?
Yeah, so Stevie's already got it in the White Sox in the Pluto Nash category. I don't like them on the road here in this matchup at all. So I'm definitely behind them being at the very bottom of the thing. I'm going to put the I'm going to put the Mariners in that life category. Well, I guess I'm waiting to see a lineup here, but I'm going to put them up there for now, assuming that the lineup is all right. I think there's Cannon, I'm not a huge believer. So, and I know it's a bad ballpark, and sometimes the offense is bad, but sometimes the offense is pretty good. So if we get a good lineup here, I'm a fan of Seattle being a nice little secondary stack to the Yankees.
Will, any issues here, or shall we move on? Oh boy, Will's going for the exact box.
Nah. if you guys are in the streets, Seattle is. I think they've won 9 of their last 10 or 10 of their last 11. It's somewhere. It's somewhere up in there. Like they're nearing a really good stretch here, despite the high strikeouts. And tonight they get Jonathan Cannon. So I agree with Chop here. Like moving them up to the live category, I think it's good against a pitcher that's not going to be dominant in this spot.
Do you want to argue any leverage for the White Sox, or they're stuck with Pluto Nash?
Oh no, they're not coming out of this category. Not tonight.
All right. By the way, we got the Dodgers lineup: Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Gavin Lux, Pages, Hayward, and Biggio. So Biggio making his debut for the Dodgers. I'm not sure if he has a salary or not. And also somebody in chat, yes, Mr. Richard, I think it was Hunter Renfroe. I don't know. I was making Hunter. I knew it was a Hunter. Is Hunter Dozier still playing professional baseball? I don't think so. But shout out to Hunter Dozier. Hunter Renfroe was the guy I was trying to think of. All right. Will, you are up. There's only 2 more games. Looks like the Seattle lineup just came out as well, at least according to the chat. Yes, there it is. Crawford, Rojas, J-Rod, Big Dumper, Kyle Rowley, Luke Raley, Mitch Garver, both catchers in there, Canzone, Locklear, and Bliss. That is your Seattle lineup. Ohtani's only $16 on Yahoo. How's that possible? I thought Yahoo was very reactive to how they're playing. Is he not? Is he in a bit of a slump? That seems like a weird price. I'm not playing on Yahoo, but that is bizarre if that is the case. Their floor, I believe, is 7, and their ceiling, I think, is 27. Unless they changed that since the last time I played it, but that is weird. Okay, Angels, D-backs, 8.5 total. Slade, Ciccone taking on Jose Soriano. Arizona favored here, -148. Will, where do you have the Angels and the D-backs? Angels, sneaky good against lefties, known bad against righties. That's what we have. We know they're bad against the righties. Where do you have the Angels and the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna agree with producer Steve. I like these rankings. Angels right in the middle. I think Soriano could be okay here, Dean, but I don't think he's gonna, go in here and mow this team down. I still believe in the Diamondbacks overall. I think they've got enough talent. And then the Angels, I think they could get to Slade Ciccone, but they're still not a huge offense to me. So Vampire and Brooklyn, I agree with. I don't think they're near the worst team like some of these other ones, but I definitely don't think they're past middle of the road.
Chop, what do you got for me?
That's pretty much where I would have had them ranked. The Angels bad against righties, like you said, and Arizona faces off Arizona faces off against Soriano, and Soriano is the ultimate. Somebody said in chat earlier, he's the ultimate hit or miss guy. Stuff is electric, but he can be off sometimes. So I'm going to just put him right there in trading places. I agree with that.
Being told in chat that I guess Aaron Judge, I don't know if he's broken their scoring, their pricing meter there on Yahoo, but he's $32. Is he an outlier? I'm just curious now. Is 27 the ceiling for most everybody, with the exception of Judge? It's been a while since I played baseball on the Yahoo.
Sure, but I do agree with Choke Hold'em here. I think Ohtani was supposed to be $26, and they fat fingered it for a 1. I think some intern screwed this up on the spreadsheet, Dean, in the HTML. I think they screwed this up, and so Ohtani's at a free square, but he's definitely a much better value at $16.
Makes for an interesting conversation as far as ownership in baseball, and how if I were to tell you that Aaron Judge is 50% owned tonight, you probably shouldn't play him. The math said you probably just you probably shouldn't, right?
Let's go back to you probably shouldn't, Dean. Let's go back to something that happened in the industry. Let's call it 4 years ago. I'm gonna 5. I think Chop may know what I'm talking about. It was Kiki Hernandez Day on FanDuel, and he was literally $200. And I think the overall consensus was you play him because he's $200, and even if he gets a 0, it doesn't matter because you got that extra boost to the other hit. It made your lineups basically more full, if you will. I'm saying all that to say, judge at 50% at a regular price. I'm for sure okay with the fade. Ohtani at 16%, which is a misprice. I'm okay with playing him.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Chris Davis, but somebody in the chat's talking about Chris Davis. The same thing on FanDuel, where I think they made him like $100 or something like that. Yeah. Baltimore Chris Davis, not Milwaukee Chris Davis.
Yeah, or Oakland Chris Davis, to be exact.
Yes, Oakland Chris Davis was good. Milwaukee, yeah. Where did he finish, Chris Davis? The one that always had like a 247 batting average every single year. What team did he end up on in the end when it just was not?
I don't know, Dean.
You're supposed to know this, Dean, because you're the one that has the almanac.
You know what this reminds me of, Dean?
What's that, Chop?
I don't even know if either one of you guys remember Draft Street. The night
I love Draft Street.
The night they priced Steph Curry coming back from an injury at like all the way down at the This was before like optimizers and all this other stuff, and he was all the way down, so far down on the list at the minimum salary that a lot of people didn't even notice him. Steph Curry coming back from injury was like way down there, and he just got lost in the shuffle. And then they started playing the games, and everybody's like, Steph Curry, he wasn't even in the player pool. Yeah, he's way down there at minimum, and nobody noticed because you didn't have a lineup optimizer that I pointed out to you back in the day. Those days, Dean, when we had an advantage on this damn game. We ain't got no advantage no more.
Well, because of sites like RotoGrinders.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, Dean. We did it to ourselves.
So I'm going to out myself here.
First of all, let me say this. Let me say this one last thing. Those days, just so the viewers can know, Chop's like one of the true OGs. You just have to give him his flowers, man. Chop is one of the original championship winners, I think, for FanDuel basketball. Chop, you won one of the first 3 or 4, right? Like you won one of the very first
FanDuel basketball championship in Vegas.
Okay.
The very
for like $1,000.
No, Dean, it was a lot more than that.
It's more than that. But Chop's one of the originals, man. So they start pulling out these industry nuggets, boy. You just got to sit back and listen. Now, those were good times, though, Chop. I do remember those times. Those were good times, man. It was true competition at that point, before all the buttons. I mean, it was true competing.
So I was going to say,
not that we're not competing now. Dean, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I apologize. I was on Draft Street. They had dynamic pricing, and it was based upon how well you're doing and matchup and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing they had that was kind of tilting was they would dock you for missed free throws. So it was like the worst to get like DeAndre Jordan or Andre Drummond, and they're just killing you at the free throw line because they're shooting 3 for 12 or whatever it is. And the other thing, Chop, this is me out of myself. I was aware of the Steph Curry situation, but I thought he wasn't playing. I thought there's no official he's playing, he's not playing. So I saw the price and I didn't play him.
I'll one up you on the scoring, Dean. FanDuel for a long time had strikeouts counting as -1 in baseball.
Yes.
And I remember specifically losing a lot of money one night when Carlos Gonzalez, I had the lead, over with.
Extra innings.
Done deal. No, done deal. Over with, right? It should have been over with. And 2 at-bats from Cargo, 2 strikeouts, ending the game, -2, and it bumps me all the way down. Like negative for strikeouts. That was the lowest, I thought. That was terrible.
But that was the thing where people tumbled out of first place when the game goes extra innings. And this is before Ghost Man on second, and sometimes it would go 15 innings, and your stack would go 0-for-9. You would lose a 0.25 every single. The scoring was totally different. Hits were a point or something, right? A single was a point, a double was 2 points. Anyways, all right. Crunch time's coming in. We got one more game and knockout before we step aside and get out of here. Chopper, you got the knockers for the people. You have the BBP suggestion today. I assume you have all that good to go? Yes?
Yeah, we'll see what kind of likes we get. I got it, but I'm not giving it out, Dean, if we're still sitting on some measly 50 likes when 1,000 people are watching the show, man.
It can't be 50. That's egregious. 50 is just insulting. The Dodgers are taking on John Gray. It's Walker Buehler versus John Gray. 8 total, 4.5 runs delegated to the Dodgers side, 3.5 to Texas. We did just get the Dodger lineup. Kevin Bijou, I don't think he's available on DK because they probably have him on a different team. I do want to check that, but at least according to our lineups page, he's not showing up. So I imagine he's not available if you wanted to roster him. No Texas lineup just yet. I'm guessing Seager's not coming back, although my sportsbook offered me like a prop, like a bonus for Seager. I'm like, I don't think he's playing, so I don't want to get locked into that. Anyways, no Texas lineup just yet. I forget whose board this is, but I think let's give it the chop, and then we can have Will rebut if necessary.
Texas is going to fall right where we have him now, trading places. I just don't know about Bueller. He's, hadn't been the same this year, and so you just never know. I'll put Texas right there, even though I don't have a whole lot of interest in stacking them, but for the uncertainty, I'm going to put them there. I have the Dodgers in the life category. I don't know, top heavy lineup, that's fine. I don't really want to stack too much of the bottom of that order. They stink. And John Gray can be okay at times. He's not going to rack up a bunch of strikeouts anymore, but he can certainly control a lineup if he's pitching well. So I'm not going to put him up. The Yankees deserve to be in a category by themselves tonight, period. So I'm going to move the Dodgers down to life.
All right. We'll be good with this as far as the Dodgers and life, Texas, and trading places that work for you, or you have any a counterpoint?
No, I'm good with that, man. Like, they're not facing a gas can because John Gray is for sure not a gas can. I think they score some runs, but I don't think this is as good of a spot as the Yankees for sure, which is why I love Kansas City so much. But I'm perfectly fine with the Dodgers being at life.
Looks like we had 80 likes as of a few minutes ago, Chop. Is that enough to give the people knockers? I don't know. It's your call. Is that enough to give the people the old BVP suggestion of the day?
I guess, Dean. Yeah, we're
111 now.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it jumped up. Okay.
All right. So
you got to beg and grovel for it.
As far as the BVP, for this being a decent size slate, there's just not a lot out there. There's not a lot that it spit out to me. So I'll give you a name, but take it with a grain of salt. But the suggestion would be Starling Marte. And it kind of goes along with the Mets thing anyway. I kind of like the Mets anyhow as a stack a little bit, as a secondary stack with the Yankees. But I'll put Marte out there. We'll put Marte out there and see if he can do it. So
I thought you were going to give me his teammate, Alonso, the polar bear, because he's got a couple homers against
I think
Braxton
that's part of the reason why I'm kind of subconsciously attracted to the Mets tonight. Some decent BVP, but we'll see how it plays out.
Will, do you have what is do you have a homer gimmick? Do you have any homers for the people?
No, I typically talk about pitching. It's the K of the bidet.
Okay.
And I gave it out already, which was Sanchez at 5.5 strikeouts. We wanted more than that. You did ask me about the juice, Dean. It was trending between minus 130 and minus 140 most places. Some you could get at minus 127. Some it was minus 145. But most was from anywhere from minus 130 to minus 140.
I think I'm going to try to hit the alt line. I'm going to see if I can get like 6 or 7 or something like that. Maybe, just take a shot that way. I don't like laying that much juice typically, but I do think he gets it. Do you want to give the people a homer? Do you have anybody in mind you think he's going to hit a home run tonight, Will, or not really?
I do have a sidebar home run, if you will. Now, this guy hasn't been crazy all season, but I'm going to go with Mason Wynn. I'm not going to say leadoff home run, but I'm going to go with Wynn today. Hot weather in St. Louis, has a platoon advantage here, and hit for nice power so far this season. 229 ISO, 343 OBA. So I'm going with Mason Wynn against Bailey Falter.
Chop, I'm going to hit you up for a couple things. One, I want the knockers, and two, J3, my guy J3 in chat is asking, can we fully fade Rory this weekend? Are you on top of this? Do you know about the golf, Chop?
No.
No, you can't fade him, or you don't know about golf?
No, I don't know about golf right now. Is this a major coming up? If it's a major, I'll play it.
Even I know. Okay. It's the US Open,
I'll sign up for some stuff then. There's
a million out there. I got some tickets for it, so I got to make some lineups.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't kept up with golf here, but as far as the knockers, I want to get away from. It's too easy to sit here and give you 2 Yankees in the heart of the order or 2 Dodgers up top. That's too. So let's do something a little bit different, and let's go to Seattle. Kyle Raleigh, Luke Raley. Let's get those 2 guys. Yeah. I think they're back to back in the order, in the middle of the order. Let's give them a shot.
Remind the people again, what time is your basketball show? What time are we talking? A little bit of hoops?
Steve, what time we firing that puppy up tonight?
7:45 Eastern.
Oh, we a little late start there. So 6:45 Central, we'll be on the air, and we'll take it up to about 7:15 or so, and something like that. And just talk basketball. Just get in there, man. Just ask questions. Just give your opinions, whatever. We're just going to talk basketball.
You might have a guest analyst. I'm not sure if he's available or not, but Crunch Time is here. Maybe somebody from Crunch Time would want to join you. Possibly, maybe. We'll see. Let's bring in Crunch Time.
Mavs, baby. Let's go. The series isn't over, Dean.
What are you
I'm
doing?
so glad. I am
tonight?
so glad that Taylor is here on this exchange. Taylor, we sat here, game one, and Roth took a big dump all over the Boston Celtics. I'm not a Celtics fan. Taylor's not a Celtics fan. And we said we feel like people are just overlooking Boston because they've been so good. And, the Mavs have these two bigs that are supposedly just going to have all this rim protection. And what do you see? Jaylen Brown just dunking on like 5 members of the Dallas Mavericks, and they're going into Dallas up 2-0. My original call was Celtics in 5. Let's see how close. Rob, this is not me. This is not me taking a victory lap here. This is just saying.
Yeah, it is.
This is about the media really sleeping on Boston. I'm like Boston is a superstar team, but they are probably the best team in the league. Like the closest thing to Boston right now to me is actually OKC. And I know that sounds crazy, but like they have a similar style. They don't have like all these superstars. They've just got a good team. And I think the Mavericks have 2 superstars and then a bunch of role players. And it's just, they're hurt.
Yeah, you're not wrong. By the way, I still want to bet on it. So if anybody wants to slide in the DMs, let's make it happen.
You got to lay points tonight, Roth. You got to lay 2.5 points. Dallas is favorite.
Well, I want the whole series. I want Mavs to win the series still. I don't know if that's like plus 500, plus 600, but whatever it is, I want in on that.
Yeah, you can get them around like plus 700 or so. So, depending on where you're shopping.
I'm shopping at the House of Dean or the House of Chief because I can't bet here in Texas.
Feel free to slide in for sure. Taylor made the call. He basically said, we were talking about frauds. Oh, Boston's a fraud. He's like, no, the real fraud is Dallas. He pointed that out. Also, Taylor, who does your lighting? It's like Scorsese in the house. Your lighting is spectacular. That is really incredible. You guys also see this? Is that just me?
No.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I got some shit from Devin about my poor lighting, so I had to rectify the situation after a while.
Nice.
I've just been staring at that whatever lightsaber thing while you guys are talking about basketball. I don't know what's going on. What's happening? That's fantastic.
It's mesmerizing for sure.
Yeah, I saw it on Amazon and thought it was neat, so and it went.
We're getting out of your charcuterie board to your left, and this could become a totally different show. Charcuterie board, get you a glass of wine, sit that thing up there.
It's just off camera.
The glass of wine. Send me the link for that old light on Amazon. I'm gonna give me one of them. I like that. I like that, man.
We all got to get
I'll
one.
pick it up for you.
I can't mention Amazon. Luckily, my wife's not home and she doesn't hear me mentioning Amazon, or she'd be on there. What were you guys talking about? What do we need? No, we don't need to order anything else from Amazon. The guy comes to the house every day, twice a day. Just stop ordering. Just stop.
I can order one right now. It'll be here before the end of the show. That's how crazy.
It's amazing. We're so spoiled. All right. For myself, for Chop, for Will, do appreciate watching the first portion. Do hit that like button if you have not hit it just yet. Subscribe too. Subscribe so you know when we go live. You know when they're going to be talking about basketball later on. Myself, Will, and Chop, we're out here. Chop's already out. He didn't want to hear the exit. Chop's like, hey, he clocked out. Will, let's get out of here. Rob, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It is crunch time. We're going to take you up to lock. We're going to take you through lock. We're going to give you some pitchers, some hitters, some stacks, some home runs, answer your questions, and give a little weather report as well. But first, welcome the guys. We got Taylor in the house. What up, Taylor?
Not a whole lot. Glad to be back. Nice little, I think, 8-gamer tonight. So decent mix of pitching and hitting, which is what you want, and it should be fun.
Dean was right, actually. Now that I see you in the closer shot, the lighting is spectacular. So good job, Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you've been pretty good looking this whole time, but now it's hard to even concentrate.
Yeah, we're blown away. It's distracting, honestly. You may
You guys
need
are
to
easily impressed. That's for sure.
Yeah. We got Cheese in the house as well. Dave Potts, the multi-million-dollar winner. What up, Cheese?
Oh, not too much. Yeah, I agree with Taylor. It's a really good slate. Just about a good size, good bit of everything. A little bit of chalk, but not too much chalk. It's all good.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it's all good because it's also essentially all good in the weather department. I do have a low chance of just a spotty little shower popping up around Boston, but I think even if that happens, they would just play through it. And there's also a couple weather games that I am partial to. The first of which would be the Mets. Winds are blowing out to left, temperature in the 70s, pretty good there. And then the second one is Kansas City. It's almost 90 degrees. It's humid. Winds are blowing out to left, a little over 10 miles per hour there. So I really like the hitting weather in Kansas City quite a bit. And then that's it. That's my whole weather spiel. So we can dive into the slate itself. And Cheese, if you wouldn't mind kind of leading us off.
All right. So on the pitching side, Bryce Miller is the chalk, and then David Peterson is the cheap chalk. On DraftKings, that's going to be the very popular cash game combo. I have no argument with it. I don't love them for tournaments, and we'll talk about pivots. But just because of the matchups and the pricing, like Bryce Miller's $1,000 cheaper than Sonny Gray. And on FanDuel, he's like $700 cheaper, and he's got the White Sox. So, yeah, I would play Bryce Miller in cash. I would also like this. So this David Peterson thing, like we don't know. He's made 2 starts this year, and they've been like, I don't even know if to say they're good or bad. Like he hasn't struck anybody out, but he hasn't looked bad. He's getting ground balls. It's 10 innings. I mean, I don't know. If we take the stats from the last couple seasons, he's definitely underpriced. Even if you shave some stuff off of the last couple seasons and assume he's maybe not full strength, it's still a good price in a good matchup. Mm-hmm. And I guess I don't think he's going to be like really super chalky in tournaments. I think basically Miller is very chalky. And after that, I don't think anyone is like, 40, 50% owned. Yeah. To me, on DraftKings, Christopher Sanchez is also too cheap at 8,000. And then I love Tanner Bybee and Nick Pivetta as spend somewhat up to be different. Like those are my pivots off of Miller. Miller's got the better matchup, but those guys both have upside. You could throw Nick Lodolo in there as well. I don't have any Sonny Gray, which I don't feel great about. But like, I don't really see any reason he needs to be the most expensive pitcher on both sites by like a fairly wide margin. And I'm super nervous about what they're doing with his pitch count. It's like, they'll be thrilled if he throws 5 innings. And even if he's pitching great, they'll just take him out. And the upside is there for a 7-inning, 12 strikeout game. So I would not argue with you at all, even if you called him your SP1. But I just see enough guys that are cheaper than him that I like as good, if not better, so that I'm not playing Gray. The cheap pivots off David Peterson, which are really just DraftKings only, are Braxton Garrett in that same game, and I have a couple darts thrown at Jonathan Cannon, only because he's facing the Mariners and he's cheap. But this is not like a 4K guy. He's 6,000, and Peterson's only 63. So Peterson is definitely a better play than Cannon. But I am doing some Garrett instead of Peterson.
Okay, it's a fairly wide pool. I mean, what was that?
Yeah,
7-8 guys.
Yeah, there's Miller chalk, and then like seven other guys that are completely viable and probably similarly owned.
Yeah. Okay. Taylor, what is your thoughts here? What say you as you're kind of building and thinking about pitchers?
Yeah, it's not too different. I think Miller is really the only one you're going to feel somewhat good about. Sonny Gray is just too overpriced for what he's been. Dave mentioned his low pitch count. For whatever reason, they seem to have him on a pretty tight leash. So even against the Pirates, if he's going to be pretty popular, I'm happy to come in under on that. The Miller and Peterson thing, I could see that being a pretty chalky build. So if you're playing that, you probably don't want to stack the Yankees with them, because I assume that'll be pretty popular all around. But I get it. Peterson against Miami is cheap, and Miller is not super expensive and facing the White Sox. So totally understandable with that. I'm with them on Sanchez. I'm with them on Pivetta as a tournament play. Jonathan Cannon, an uncomfortable amount of, just as a pivot away from Peterson for 300 less. Seattle's been a lineup we're picking on all season. The lineup today is not as high strikeout as it usually is, but still strikeouts in there and potentially for 6K. It's just a dart worth throwing. Ditto for Garrett in the Mets game. The Mets are a pretty decent lineup against lefties, actually, but Garrett's been kind of unfortunate on the BABIP front this season. Low walks, pretty good strikeout stuff. I don't mind some shots on him just because he's 7,100 on DK. And not looking like he's going to be very popular. So I think he's viable. And the Sanchez thing is totally fine too. Boston being a nonsense lineup against lefties. So there are a lot of other pitchers you can play. You know, Lodolo, Buehler, probably not John Gray. I think he's on a pretty tight leash too, but probably not for me on this slate. I think it's kind of a tight pool at the top, honestly.
Do you have a favorite pairing? I mean, Miller, I assume, is one of them. Do you have a favorite second pitcher or not really?
It's Peterson by default, I guess, but that's certainly not sneaky. He just projects quite well in a good spot at home against Miami, so it's totally fine. If I was going to go off the board a bit, it would be Garrett, as I mentioned, against the Mets on the other side of the game.
Very good. Let's turn it around and talk about some of the stacks here. And Taylor, I'll let you lead us off there.
Yeah, so I mentioned the Yankees likely being the chalk. The Royals are going with an opener, and then likely Daniel Lynch, who's not been very good in recent years, a wide split lefty. Not a lot of strikeouts there. The weather you mentioned in KC is the best on the slate. The Yankees are the best offense on the slate, arguably. So understandable chalk with them. Totally fine with it. Kansas City on the other side of that game, I think, looks pretty good. The Yankees are going with Cody Poteet, who's not really anything, and the Royals have a good offense. Decent mix of value and expensive hitters. So I like them quite a bit. Presumably going to be lower on than the Yankees, but still not unknown, I would say. After that, it's kind of a crapshoot. Like the Dodgers are on the slate. You can always play them. John Gray, like I said, short leash, and then plenty of bullpen after that. But we saw last night what they're capable of. St. Louis was a team earlier in the day that looked kind of popular at home against the Pirates. Bailey Falter has not been very good this season either. So Cardinals are pretty cheap, which I think is the main source of appeal for them. I was getting to some Angels against Slade Ciccone earlier in the day. Their lineup just came out, and it's kind of watered down, though. No Ward, no Hoppy, no Stefanik, who was pretty cheap and viable. So we'll see how that shakes out now. But I think they're kind of an okay secondary stack. But beyond the Yankees, I wouldn't say there's a lot of clarity.
Okay. Yeah.
I know when Kevin's reading the chat. It's
Dean was just such a
he's not wrong.
I don't know. I just didn't expect Dean to word it that way, but I liked it. I got a kick out of it. Okay, Cheese, some of your favorite stacks?
Yankees, Royals, Dodgers. And then you can goof around all you want, but like Yankees, Royals, Dodgers. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying I'm not stacking other teams because I have a bunch of lineups, but yeah, Yankees, Royals, Dodgers.
Okay. Let's go around the horn. We'll go position by position. Someone did ask, I want to know how Kevin's double cheap pitcher build went. And just to give a heads up, it went pretty well. I damn near cashed in my tournament, which I think I'm proud with. But Varland got 16 points and Diaz, the 4K guy, got 8. And like that's
and like he was in the winning lineup. It worked out, even though it's not a great game. Like that's all you need for 8K. That's what won $50,000 because you did need those spend up Dodgers. It's just you needed a lot of Dodgers.
Yeah, Yeah.
After
Anyways.
I went to bed, apparently I woke up and I thought they had scored like 6, and it was like 100.
Yeah. Anyways, it was fun. It went well, and I might do it again sometime. Just next time there's 2 cheap pitchers, I'm going back to that. Anyways, let's go around the horn and talk about what we got going on. Cheese, what are we doing a catcher?
I do quite like the 3 spend ups, like the guys over 5K, with Sal Perez being my favorite. David Fry probably being extremely sneaky. And even Will Smith outside of Dodger stacks, I don't think a lot of people are playing. But all that is because Cal Raleigh is like $1,000 cheaper than them and facing Cannon. And you would rather spend that money on like Bobby Witt or in the outfield. So I think Raleigh is the guy, certainly in cash and really in anything. The cheaper stuff is fine-ish. Like I think Ivan Herrera is probably my highest owned cheapest catcher. And now that we have Matt Thaiss and the Angels lineup, I'll consider moving to some of him if it works.
Okay, Taylor, catcher.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same guys. Jose Trevino in your Yankee stack, certainly. Rafael Marchand is 2K flat on DraftKings, catching for the Phillies. Not psyched about picking on Pivetta, but he's a punt, and catcher is stronger than it used to be, but still not a lot of depth at the position on a kind of medium-sized slate, so I don't mind getting to him. Connor Wong, decent hitting catcher, also hitting 5th for the Red Sox against Sanchez. Still Fenway, so don't mind going there, even in a tougher matchup against Sanchez.
Okay, first base.
First base. Let's see. It looks like DJ LeMahieu's kind of popular here, even though he's hitting 9th. That's kind of a testament to the popularity of the Yankees in general. That's the best spot on the slate, but it's chalky DJ LeMahieu in 2024 hitting 9th doesn't sound that appealing. So alternative being Pasquantino and Perez, both first base eligible on DK at least. On the Kansas City side, Anthony Rizzo, lefty. Once Lynch comes into the game, probably not going to be super popular, but he's okay, even though he's been quite awful for a long time. Don't mind Paul Goldschmidt one bit with the platoon edge against Bailey Falter. And then the Dodger lefties, Ohtani and Freeman against John Gray. Perfectly fine with them every single day.
Okay. Cheese, this question from Eric as we get into first base. Cheese, is first base ever not terrible is the question.
Yeah, it's not terrible today. But in general, it is almost always the worst position, which is it's just weird. But this is the world we live in for whatever reason. But when the Dodgers are on the slate, at least on DraftKings, and you got 2 Dodgers, it's at least something, but you have to spend on it. I also really like Vinny Pasquantino today. He is definitely my highest owned first baseman, just because he's like considerably cheaper than the Dodgers. Like on FanDuel, he's only 3K. It looks like Goldschmidt is the chalk, although I think Vinny P and Goldschmidt end up more like even ownership in that range. Other than that, I have some Jake Berger and then some Angels with Willie Calhoun and Nolan Schanuel. And I also have some Gavin Sheets. As much as Bryce Miller looks like pretty good chalk, like he's really not anything special at all against lefties. Gavin Sheets is the lefty with power there.
Okay. How about second base?
So on FanDuel, we got Mookie Betts at second, and I would definitely use him there. And also Gleyber Torres is only 2,600 on FanDuel. So I think those two make up the bulk of the ownership there. On the DK side, I don't think Semien and Marte or Stott are great spend ups today. Like they're fine, but I would rather spend my money to other positions. I think Torres and Nolan Gorman, probably my favorite plays. But then I think you can go cheaper too. So I haven't looked since the Dodgers lineup came out. Is Kevin Biggio available on both sites?
He's not on DK. Probably not on FanDuel either.
So like if he was going to be available, that adds a guy. But I do like Gavin Lux as a cheap second baseman. I think you could play like Ryan Bliss, Nick Lofton in Royal stacks. It's basically there's nobody that I'm just dying to have at this position, so I'm kind of leaving it and just seeing where my salary lands.
Okay, Taylor, your thoughts second?
Yeah, Torres should be understandable chalk here. There's not really a lot else that looks great. Ketel Marte and Bryson Stott in your Diamondbacks and Phillies stacks. The Guardians are a team I think is kind of interesting. Getting a park upgrade going into Cincinnati lows you typically want to pick on, but it's kind of a decent offense this season. Andres Jimenez, even lefty-lefty, I think is perfectly fine. Not going to be owned at all on this slate, it looks like. And Rengifo, decent angel, one of the few decent angels hitting lefty against Ciccone. Perfectly fine with that too.
Third base.
Third base. LeMahieu, you can play here again. Not great, but it is what it is. Michael Garcia leading off for the Royals, I like quite a bit. You can also play Rengifo here. Arenado hitting cleanup still for St. Louis, perfectly fine. I'm more on the Garrett side of this game than the Mets, but Mark Vientos is one of the many Mets that's hit lefty as well, so I think he's kind of interesting. Lower salary third baseman, kind of in the mid-range. I mentioned the Guardians. I don't think anyone's playing Jose Ramirez on the slate, but I will be getting to him a decent amount. And Ezekiel Duran, if he makes the Rangers lineup, is cheap enough to consider. Projected to hit, I think, 6th, and he's on 2,600 on DK.
Sounds good. Cheese, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, the ownership on Jose Ramirez is like inspirational and fantastic and just makes me want to lock him in, honestly. Like he's so much better than everyone at this position. And obviously the salary reflects that, but like even if he was like 10% projected ownership, I don't know. I think if the ownership numbers are even kind of correct, I think he's the best play on the slate by a huge margin. Otherwise, I'm pretty much going cheap outside of stacks. Like Jake Berger, Mark Vientos, Manuel Rivera for a full punt. I'm fine with like the mid tier is okay. Like Arenado, Candelario, Josh Smith, it's all fine. But I would really much rather just play Ramirez or just punt it.
Shortstop, Cheese.
Yeah, so just like the Ramirez at third, like because we have Witt and Betts, so obviously like no one's going to play Ellie De La Cruz. But really, I don't think enough people are going to play Witt and Betts either. I know I'm mentioning a lot of super expensive bats, which is why I'm also mentioning a lot of punts. I would say I think I end up with more Witt than Judge and Ohtani. It's all very close. Like those three guys, along with Ramirez, are like the cream of the crop. And honestly, while I started by talking about Ellie De La Cruz, I have 0, and I feel terrible about it. But like that just kind of goes to show my point. Like no one's playing Ellie De La Cruz just because we got other guys. And then even the mid tier, like Volpe in Yankee stacks, Lindor, Mason Wynn leading off, it's all very good. And this is a gloriously fantastic position as always. And the one position I really don't want to punt, like in a full stack, I might have, a Zach Neto or a Brian Rocchio or something, but outside of full 5-man stacks, it's spend up.
Okay. Taylor, you spending up as well?
Yeah, the only name I would add is if he's in the lineup, Corey Seager. He's been out a while, but no one's going to play him whatsoever, especially if we get that lineup after first game's lock and all that. He's been banged up, but I don't think they've ruled him out or anything. So possibility in the Walker Texas Ranger game. Don't mind that at all. And then Rocchio, yeah, he mentioned him as a punt. The one thing he does is steal bases, and the one thing he can do against Lodolo is steal bases too. So that's another reason to like the Guardians, Ramirez, Jimenez, and Rocchio especially.
The outfield.
The outfield has Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Juan Soto. Probably pretty good plays. Shohei Ohtani. another good baseball player.
Those all sound terrible.
Today.
Do you have any good plays to mention? Those guys sound terrible.
David Dahl, maybe a cheap home run there. If you want a terrible player, I think you can play David Dahl today. You probably don't want to play David Dahl, but if you are stacking the Phillies, I think it's okay. I've mentioned the Guardians. Tyler Freeman is hitting second. He's under 4K on DK. Don't mind that at all. Jock Peterson for a cheap homer. Not cheap, but mid-range homer against Soriano, I think is okay. Corbin Carroll, price has come down. He's not been great overall, but I don't think Arizona is a bad stack on the slate either. And let's see, not a whole lot else. Cheap Royals, Nelson Velasquez, Kyle Isbell, totally fine in stacks with those guys. And Kyle Schwarber, I mentioned the Phillies. Like, I don't think it's insane to stack them at Fenway. So Schwarber would be one of the headliners there.
Okay, Cheese, what are you doing in the outfield?
Yeah, the same. I mean, it's just super obvious, fantastic spend ups. Yet the Yankees and Ohtani. I like all the Royals. Super cheap plays that you're going to need at some point with all the expensive names I'm talking about. Dylan Carlson is probably the chalk for like a full punt on DK. I also have Zach DeLoach in my lineups, and Mickey Moniak, along with Kyle Isbell. I agree with Tyler Freeman being a little too cheap on DK. I think you can play Tyler O'Neill on FanDuel. I generally don't like the Red Sox at all, but he is cheap on FanDuel. You could also do the Mets. Like, we're not mentioning any Mets, and I don't really like the Mets, but they have a whole bunch of like kind of okay players surrounding Alonso and Lindor, and they're all right-handed. So like if you wanted to play a Martinez, Marte, Bader, or Tyrone Taylor stack, I think that's viable, and they're cheap-ish.
Okay. We still have 20 plus minutes until lock, and that means we got time for some home run calls. Cheese, what are we doing? By the way, have you guys seen on X or Twitter Grant, his constant fight with people who think he's an idiot at picking home runs, even though he's up on the year? Have either of you followed this? It's very fun.
I've seen it kind of in passing, but I have not like dug in to enjoy my time. Shall I?
My God. You are missing out. Yeah, every day. It's phenomenal. These people get furious because he picks Alonso to homer because he has great odds. Every day, the people think that he is like secretly in love with him. It's just absolutely wonderful. Taylor, have you followed this saga?
No, like Cheese, I've seen like bits and pieces, but I haven't read the full book yet on it.
Oh man, it's maybe my favorite ongoing thing that's happening in the world right now is just watching his picks, hoping he picks Alonso, and then everyone being furious. And if Alonso hits a home run, I might be the happiest person in the world for him, but I just cannot wait. It is good times. Can we play Alonso, by the way? Is he going to hit a home run?
Yeah, he's always like he's not on my official list because he's facing a decent ground ball pitcher, but yes, we can play Alonso. I mean, it's like
he's my pick.
Especially really, there's really no lefty that I don't want to play Alonso against, or even a righty, really. Yeah, that's a wonderful home run pick.
Okay, good. That's mine. Cheese, what do you got? You got a few names for me?
Sure, I'll go Vinny Pasquantino and Mickey Moniak, for a cheap thing, and then David Fry.
Man, some random names. Geez, some random calls there. I approve.
$5,600 David Fry.
Oh, that guy screwed me. I think he was the one guy. If he would have had a hit last night, I would have been in the money. So I'm no fan of the Fry. Taylor, what do you got?
Yeah, I do like the David Fry call. Also, I will go out on the Ohtani limb today. I will say
a huge shaky limb to be on. Good luck to you.
Seager is in the lineup we just got, so I will take him to hit a home run in a revenge game, and then I'll go Nelson Velasquez, kind of a cheaper one.
Okay. Let's see. What can we do? We can take some QQs. That's something we could do right now. If you got any questions, make sure you get them in. Also, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, You should. It's free content. Two of the literal sharpest minds in the biz here to just give you free content. And all we ask is that you hit that thumbs up for us. So please make sure you're doing that. Hit the subscribe button as well. That way you always know when we're going live. Let's see. Alex says, hey, Kevin, I want to thank Cheese from last night's call for a 4,600 or under outfielder. Stanton went yard and sent me to the promised land with that.
I actually remembered that I said, like, because if he feels so non-cashy,
and you said that,
but he was just the best play there. Like, I'm glad it worked.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Good job. Jumping into the Discord. Also, geez, someone won 20 grand last night. TJ Musmanzada, who hangs out in our chat, won 20 grand last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good for him.
Y'all were doing some good stuff. Porzingis is out. It's comeback season for the Mavs, baby. Oh, man. Mavs are going to dominate. They might not lose another game all series. FanDuel cash question. Cheese, I'm coming to you. It's a 3v3 from Sherman's Tanks. Freeman, Volpe, and Mikhail Garcia, or Sal, Perez, Witt, and Arenado?
Perez, Witt, Arenado.
All right. Taylor, this question is from Jay. FanDuel single entry. Is Bybee a good pivot from a Chalky Miller?
Yeah, I meant to bring him up. Not a good park and all that, but I do think he's perfectly fine. Like Cheese said, Miller's not like a proven ace by any means. It's just that he's facing the White Sox. So, yeah, I like that quite a bit.
Okay. The Grinch says, Taylor, sorry for coming in late. Who are the pitchers we're playing if we're playing expensive bats?
Well, you're playing David Peterson if you're playing expensive bats by default. Bryce Miller is the one you ideally pair with him if you can afford it, but he's 9K on DK, so it's not a guarantee. I think if you want something for a little less, it's probably Christopher Sanchez against Boston for 8K.
Very nice. Okay. Greatness says, Cheese, with Ward out, who's an outfielder you would use on FanDuel? Any outfielder?
Yeah, well, assuming you don't want to spend any more money, like he was 2,800, so it was a good value. Assuming you want to stay at that or lower, you can actually just pivot right to Joe Adell if you want. Like if you had correlated him with any Angels, I don't mind Adell just in general anyway. Otherwise, like if you have just a little bit more money, there's a lot more options. But I think I would go Adell or Andy Paez if you're just trying to stay at that salary range.
Okay. The Boogie pointing out it is Ellie De La Cruz bobblehead night, Cheese.
What wins? Seager, Revenge, or Ellie bobblehead? Or just Bobby Witt and Mookie Betts?
Yeah.
This position is nuts. I love it.
Let's see. Cheese, DK, GPP, last piece. Sterling Marte, Gurriel, Verdugo, or Reynolds?
Assuming they're all on their own, I would lean to Gurriel there.
Okay. Beaner says, FanDuel GPP, Taylor, you want Soto or Ohtani?
I would take Ohtani.
Okay.
Good problem to have, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Cheese, I'm going to ask you this, even though it's Taylor's turn for a question, because Taylor already kind of answered it, and I want Cheese's take. FanDuel single entry, your favorite pitcher. And your favorite stack. You just added that.
Pivetta and the Royals.
Nice. Okay. Scrolling up just a wee bit here in the YouTube, where I'm sure everyone has already hit us with the thumbs up. Honey, Dada's on a show. I love you, okay? Come give me kisses. Yeah. DK GPP, Josh Rojas, or Vientos at third? Yes, you can.
I would take Vientos there, I think. Never mind. I would take Rojas. Scratch that.
Okay. Chris Brown says, Taylor, got to leave Soto or Judge on FanDuel. I got to leave one of them out. I don't know who to leave out.
You probably leave Soto out, but it's not great to do that. So, yeah.
But it's less great to leave Judge out, essentially?
Probably at this point, yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts on Verdugo, Cheese? Does he go yak tonight?
It's more likely that he doesn't, but I mean, I like him. He's even without a home run, he's got plenty of ways to be a great play at that salary in that lineup.
Okay. Jeffrey says, Taylor, your favorite single entry GPP stack?
I was just building that. It's probably the Dodgers for me, just because the Yankees are going to be the chalk, I think, and the Royals are similarly good, but the Dodgers might fly under the radar a little bit. So I don't mind them, and I don't mind Texas on the other side of the same game.
Okay. Taylor, will the Mets be low owned?
I think so. I don't think they're chalky by any means, last I checked.
Okay, great. Thoughts on a Cleveland stack, Cheese? I feel like, actually, Taylor, didn't you mention a Cleveland stack because you had Ramirez and then two dudes who could swipe a bag against a pitcher who gives up steals?
Yeah, I think they're good. Definitely not going to be popular, so ballpark and all that makes it appealing. I don't have as much of them as I thought. Jose Ramirez, Andres Jimenez, and Brian Rocchio were the ones I mentioned, but Tyler Freeman perfectly fine too. And good old David Fry if you have all the money in the world to spend.
Okay, great. Must play FanDuel outfielders in cash. Cheese, are there any must plays? Oh, actually, pay ups. Must play pay up FanDuel outfield cash. Stanton? Question mark.
Stanton is way too cheap. Yeah, on FanDuel at 32, you would play Stanton. I think, assuming you're kind of stretching for salary, I would play Ohtani over Judge because of the $700 discount. Like, they're just both so great, and you can use the $700 somewhere else.
Yeah. Bean says, Cheese, I've got $2,500 left. Can I get a second baseman or shortstop, please? He did not specify what site. You know what? He asked FanDuel GPP in an earlier question, so I'm going to assume it's FanDuel.
Okay. You said 2,500 or less?
2,500. Second or shortstop.
There's actually kind of, there's not fantastic, but there's kind of a lot. I think I would do Gavin Lux. Okay.
RC player pointing out Judge is plus 130 to hit a home run tonight. He's plus 130 to hit a home run. That is freaking insane. And if you follow the Grant drama as he's telling people who to bet for these home runs, everyone gets mad at him for not saying Judge. They're like, why don't you pick Judge? Because his odds are plus 130.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, Judge isn't even close to hitting a home run in half his games.
Right.
I mean, like, what are we talking about? Like,
it's
never bet any home run at plus money for any reason ever.
And people are mad at him.
People on Twitter are unreasonable?
Yes, they're just wildly unreasonable. And like, I know nothing about sports betting, but this seems a simple concept to me, is that like, if you're betting the guy who's at plus 130, you need to hit it like every single day. It's outrageous. It's just absolutely asinine. Anywho, all right, where are we at? I got sidetracked. DKGPP's Taylor, your favorite mini stack, St. Louis versus the Mets.
Probably St. Louis, but I think they're going to be more popular. But I would still lean Cardinals on that one.
Okay. Cheese, this question was actually directed at me, but he probably wants someone smarter than me to answer it. Andrew says, Roth, would you play Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani? Would you play? Or who would be the man left out of the stack? Would you play Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani, or who would be the man left out of the stack?
I mean, I don't understand the question. If you're saying you can play two of those three guys, I would play Ohtani and Freeman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe re-ask the question if we did not answer it properly, if we were a little confused there, Andrew. Free Scotty says, Cheese, does a Rangers leverage stack intrigue anybody versus Bueller? Parentheses, if not, maybe a Seager one-off.
I actually like a Rangers stack pretty well. I already had some without Seager in. So, yes, is the answer.
Great. What do we got here? Alex says, Taylor, your favorite sub $2,500 outfielder in a GPP on DK?
Sub $2,500 outfielder on DK?
Yep.
It's going to be slim pickings, I assume. Let's see.
Oh, somebody out there is going to be good.
That's Dylan Carlson.
Oh,
there you go.
There you have it. Cheese was ready. What else do we have? Judge is plus 900 to hit 2 homers tonight.
Plus how many?
Plus 900 to hit
2 home runs.
Yeah.
That's free money.
Yeah. Got to
That's
do it,
wild
right?
stuff.
Yeah. We've actually done a very good job at getting through all the questions. If you have questions, keep in mind they can be about baseball, they can be about basketball, or they can be about food. Those are the things that we can discuss with some pretty high intelligence. Hey, did you know there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium with NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB, WNBA? They got everything going on, and there's an option for whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription right now, exclusive price, $469.99. That's a saving of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. And you can get your first month of RG Premium for $40 off for a limited time. If you want a test run, dip your toes in the water, a 3-day pass is just $19.99. So there's some good stuff going on there as well. And I think I have another fancy promo to read, and I can't find it. Devin, I'm letting you down. I'll find it before the end of the show. We have a cool new Chrome plugin that is pretty fantastic. So I'll find that promo read and get it to you. In the meantime, back to the QQs.
It's not Chrome, it's Firefox.
It's the same thing. I would say, it's, we have a cool new Firefox extension. It is not Chrome. Don't get that twisted. Lofton or Lux on DK, Taylor?
Lux.
Cheese, your favorite and least favorite Eddie Murphy movie. It was today's stat category.
I mean, it's more for like nostalgic reasons. It's Beverly Hills Cop. Like I don't have any idea if that's his best movie. It's probably not, but like that was right at the time in my life when that was like my first favorite funny movie. So that's the answer.
You can't beat your first favorite movie. That will never be topped. Like your first really good funny movie. All of his movies were like a little bit. His heyday was a little bit before my time, so I don't have a strong take. Taylor, do you have a strong take there?
Yeah, I had the same problem. Like I saw like Dr. Dolittle.
Right.
Theaters,
yeah.
I think, but like
Right.
that's certainly not the right answer. So
Yeah.
I can't shame myself and pick that.
Bean Dude says lamb or chicken in a euro or
Lamb.
hero or gyro.
Lamb all day.
Yeah, I'm a lamb guy myself. Cheese.
I would almost always say chicken, but for that very specific, I think lamb is an okay answer.
I think that's the move. Question on FanDuel. Taylor, who are you taking at captain tonight? Did you look at any hoops?
I'm playing on DK. I haven't looked at FanDuel, but I also haven't built lineups yet because the game's like an hour and a half away. So let me
Kevin, who's the third best player on Dallas?
I think if you're looking for points, it's probably PJ Washington.
Done. That's my captain.
Okay. Yeah. I think
go.
maybe hope that PJ Washington splashes a bunch of threes.
He will then.
Yeah. What else do we have? Favorite sub $2,800 third baseman in a DK GPP from Alex. Taylor, I'm going to give that to you. Favorite sub 2,800 third baseman DK GPP.
Ezekiel Duran, no question.
Am I crazy to fade Judge today because Tatis hit streak just ended? Why not Judges? Cheese, is it crazy?
You had to ask the question like that. Is it crazy to fade Judge? No. Is it crazy to fade Judge because Tatis's hit streak ended? Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't crazy, and then you made it crazy.
Yes. You did it to yourself there. Yeah. So I can't even answer the question.
Yeah. Steve pointing out there's a very big difference between Firefox and Chrome. I know. Make sure you've got Firefox because the DK Pick 6 Firefox extension is out in case you missed it. RG Premium subscribers can now use the RotoGrinders DraftKings Pick 6 browser extension on Firefox, not Chrome, to have our premium props and pick'em projections overlaid on the screen, which is actually really neat when we do stuff like that. You can quickly and easily find the lines, get the best value, make expert picks, all of it in one place. Download it for Firefox today. You can do it right now if you are a Firefox user. Is it crazy to do White Sox as a secondary stack, Cheese?
I think they're okay as a secondary stack with lefties. Put 2 or 3 of them in there, and then you got salary.
Okay. Joe Ban says, does Roth drink every day? No, it's Sunday and Monday. Those are my drinking days, Sunday and Monday. Eric says, where else are we at? Why do y'all like Seattle so much, Taylor? Why do y'all like Seattle so much?
They're not like my favorite by any means on this slate, but Jonathan Cannon is not an ace, and the White Sox bullpen behind him is not anything special. So Seattle looks fine, but they're not like a top 3 or 4 stack for me on this slate.
Sam Hauser. I don't know how much hoops you've looked at. Eric says Sam Hauser under 1.5 3-pointers made, Taylor.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay. All right. Cheese, any burger fry combos tonight?
I don't have any idea if I happen to have them in the same lineup. I did have them for lunch, but I don't know if I have them in the same line.
Okay.
But, they're both in the pool.
Okay. FanDuel single entry, Cheese, do you prefer Canzone over Raleigh? Raleigh seems to be hitting the ball on the ground a lot more from what I can see. He's been playing in the last 30 days. I kind of want to lean him.
Just to be clear, we mean Luke Raley and not Cal Raleigh.
Sorry.
Luke
correct. Yes.
Yeah, I prefer Canzone over Raley.
Okay. Blink 182 says Taylor, large field, DKGPP, Sal Perez, Vinny P, and Stanton, or Furman, Nick Lofton, and Judge.
The first one sounds a lot better, even with no Judge.
Crazy Coop says, Taylor, what are your expectations for Cannon and Peterson? Because simply a pivot away from their chalk is Falter on your radar at all. I know he sucks. I just wanted your thoughts. Why am I not understanding these questions?
Yeah, Falter is a guy, but I'm not playing him against the Cardinals. He's just not very good. I think Cannon, the matchup is fine against Seattle just because they strike out a ton. And yeah, like
Peterson, I don't think Cannon is not chalk at all.
Right. Peterson will be, but Cannon's going to be pretty overlooked.
Yeah. Okay. Cheese, what 2 pitchers would you play in Yahoo Cash, and what food do you like that people usually don't like?
Let me scroll over to the Yahoo pricing. That would be Bryce Miller for sure. And there I would play Sanchez over Peterson because you don't have the same kind of discount. So Miller or Sanchez. I don't think I like any food that other people don't like.
That's
like I eat the most standard food. Like I eat the chalkiest food. I mean,
that's
I
where
don't
I'm
even
at too.
know how to answer that.
I can't think of any.
I mean, like maybe broccoli. I feel like a fair amount of people don't like broccoli.
Broccoli's good.
Broccoli.
Those people are wrong. Broccoli's yummy. Taylor, do you have a weird food that most people don't like that you enjoy?
I don't know. Like I mentioned last week that I like pineapple on pizza, but
I'm with you.
Know, yeah. So like someone likes it in addition to me out there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Favorite FanDuel third baseman, Taylor?
FanDuel third baseman. Let's see. Michael Garcia off the top of my head, and Jose Ramirez if you have all the salary.
Steve says, I like asparagus. I think most people don't like that. If you cook asparagus right, it's delicious. If you overcook it, it is the mushiest, nastiest, chewiest, grossest food ever. So good asparagus is really good.
Mushy, chewy asparagus is what you usually get. And that's just
when it's stringy and it's like stringy. You buy it. What else do we have?
That Roth face needs to be a gift, by the way, what you just did after eating the fake asparagus.
Let's see. Stanton or Carroll, DKGPP?
Stanton's the chalky answer, I assume, but Carroll's going to be a lot less popular.
Mochi says sweet corn on pizza. Sweet corn. I love sweet corn on damn near anything, but I've never thought of it on pizza.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think about that. I love sweet corn is one of the best things in the world, and
the rest is
pizza.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor and I like pineapple on pizza because it provides the sweetness. So sweet corn kind of does the same thing. All right. I'm not going to call you crazy. I'm going to allow it. I missed the pitcher breakdown. Cheese, what do you think of Bueller on DK tournaments? And Roth, can I get your thoughts on game stacks when Weather Edge has the fire emoji?
That's a fantastic troll question because he asked a legitimate question and then that. And I know he's messing with us. We appreciate you. I do not have any Bueller. I don't trust that he looks right yet. And there's enough other pitchers that I trust are right. So I don't have any.
Yeah. Okay. FanDuel single entry cheese one off Vinny P or Velasquez?
Vinny P.
I don't know what this means, and I'm just going to read it. Like I may be swearing, I may be saying something dirty. I may just be saying players' names. I don't know. But Taylor, is Slade Kachoni bound to get funnel caked? I don't know what that means at all. Is that a real
Sounds
person?
good.
Is
Sure.
that a real person? Is that a real thing? I don't know.
Slade Ciccone is a real person. Yeah.
He is a real person. Is funnel caked a real thing?
I've never heard of that, but it's fantastic. So
it felt like I was saying something dirty and inappropriate.
It's got to be in the museum soon. That's fantastic.
Is Slade Ciccone bound to get funnel caked? Oh man, we don't know. We're not sure. That's a good
glorious.
That's a good way to close this one out. I need a last man in DK at catcher Taylor at 3,600.
3,600 at catcher. Freddie Fermin or Jose Trevino, I guess.
Who was it? I'm sorry.
I muted.
It's either Firmino or what did I say? Firmino, Trevino, or Fermin, I guess, down there.
All right. Cheese is dying. I can't look at cheese. Oh shit. All right. I think you know
Better
what?
than getting struck by lightning. I'll tell you that.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Cheese. We had a real question. What two pitchers would you take in late entry tournaments, Cheese?
I assume that just means the 3-game slate. Yeah, Bryce Miller, obviously, and do we get a site on that?
Well, he said two pitchers, so I assume DK.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. Boy, that's rough. Honestly, I would play Cannon. I'd play Miller and Cannon. And that is the one place I think it is viable to play Walker Buehler in that scenario, but I still wouldn't do it.
Okay, very good. Hey, I don't think we're going to top. I don't think we're going to top that. So I think with that, it is time to get on out of here. So long live the cake.
That was fantastic. I needed that. I feel better.
Yeah. That was a good way to close things out here. All right, for Taylor, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been funnel caked.